I don't think that's actually true in nature. It absolutely is true in nature. What are you talking about? Let's hear what.
Mr. President, you spoke at the UN General Assembly.
So you promoted to put the Israelis down, my friend. I don't think you understand a single damn thing. And I don't think you understand or are interested in understanding a single damn thing. You're just here to purposefully misunderstand exactly what I'm saying in an effort to just like get a silly little gotcha. Israel is a state, okay? Israel is not a human being, nor is it actually a bear. It is comprised of human beings that are behaving in an irrational manner. My advocacy is not to nuke Tel Aviv, if that's what you're trying to imply here. Because guess what? I'm not like Israel, okay? I do value human rights. Unlike the nation state that is currently engaging in a genocide that is an apartheid state on a good day that you are trying to defend, I do value human rights.
Assembly yesterday as the Middle East feels like a powder keg. Israel and Hamas's war rages on. Now it seems to have expanded to Hezbollah in the north. How real is an all-out war in the Middle East, and is a ceasefire still in reach? And would you require all hostages to be released alive in order to have a ceasefire?
The answer is part of the ceasefire would be the exchange of those hostages, number one. Number two, an all-out war is possible, but I think there's also the opportunity, or still in play, to have a settlement that could fundamentally change the whole region. And look, one of the things that I found is the Arab world very much wants to have a settlement because they know what it does for them. They're willing to make arrangements with Israel and alliances with Israel if Israel changes some policies. And I've known Bibi Netanyahu.
Yeah. Israel seems to have expanded its war into Gaza. Who could have foreseen this? Who could have seen this coming? Or not into Gaza, sorry, into Lebanon. It just naturally occurred. Once again, everything that Israel does is a natural occurrence.
Now for a long, long time. And I'm a very strong supporter of Israel. I make no bones about it. I said years ago I was a Zionist. All a Zionist means is that there needs to be an Israel. And the fact is, though, that Bibi has a picture I signed for him when he was a young member of the embassy here in the United States.
An asset for American intelligence as well as Israeli intelligence. Just so you understand.
And he has 8x10 picture. He asked me to sign. I went, Bibi, I love you, but don't agree with the damn thing you say or do, Joe.
Yeah.
And I do, and it's right. I don't agree with his position. There needs to be a two-state solution. Ultimately, it needs to happen. There's a way to do it, and we have a possibility. I don't want to exaggerate it, but a possibility if we can deal with a ceasefire.
Why do you love him then? That makes no sense, dude. When did your community become so pro-Islamic terrorist? The last year really has changed your people. They think so black and white and hateful now, lol. October 7. I love you, mate, but why are you genuinely a defender of jihad? Your chat is completely brain rotted on this topic. It's so black and white to them because of your framing in defense of jihad. They look at this as black and white when it's 2,000 years of nuance. Damn, this is a good speech. Do I like Bibi now? How is he on trans rights, lol? I don't know if you understand this, but Saint Matriarch, a community returner post October 7, I have been a firm and committed defender of human rights for many, many years prior to you coming into this community. Okay? My analysis does not change due to some random social conditioning that directly contradicts that when it comes to Israel. For example, you said this community believes in black and white dynamics. The only black and white is at the top of the hour when there's a 3-minute ad break, okay? You're screwed if you are not subscribed. If you're subscribed, however, you won't see the 3-minute ad break at the top of the hour. I'm going to return back to this chatter and talk about some of their opinions in a second, okay? Because there's a lot of people like this. There's a lot of people who believe these things where they're like, oh, dude, mate, you're supporting jihad, Okay, here's the 3-minute ad break now. That's the real jihad, aka struggle against the 3-minute ad break, is subscribing. The black and white thinking in this circumstance comes from you, my friend. You automatically assume this is like jihad, which is, I suspect, not the true understanding of jihad, but instead simply a Western understanding. It means like, Allahu Akbar, boom, explosion, that type of shit, right? That is black and white. You are the one who is engaging in black and white understandings on this issue, okay? You see Muslim, and you're conditioned into believing that, like, these are not people who might have a genuine interest in emancipation. You see Muslim, and you see, I'm afraid. You see a Muslim person, and you think, oh, this person wants to destroy the Western world. I hope that one day you can overcome these bigoted points of view. I doubt it, but I hope you can overcome it one day. Nah, the Gaza thing is a chronically online tanky thing. Most Americans won't sacrifice their country for some Islamic jihadi solidarity. Okay? It's sad. It's sad to see someone who seemingly has a lot of progressive opinions, because you can't be in this community and be a supporter since 2022 if you don't have a lot of progressive opinions. But when it comes down to Israel, you automatically go against all of those opinions. Even the usage of your word tanky means you're chronically online. There are plenty of studies conducted on the matter in terms of like the way Americans analyze the situation. And you're wrong, actually. The broad majority of American society considers what Israel is doing to be wrong. The broad majority of American society wants Israel to stop pummeling Gaza. Okay? It's a perfectly understandable desire from many people. They see what is going on. They know right from wrong. To add insult to injury, even selfish Americans recognize that unlimited billions of dollars of weapons going to Israel so they can continue on this bloody conquest is perhaps not the best idea. Okay? I'm trying to be as nice as possible. I'm not. Zionists can get fucked too. I banter a lot on Twitch with just to fuck with people. Whoa, you can't pick on me when I'm not paying attention. When did your community become so pro-Islamic terrorist? Is a loaded statement. A loaded statement that shows what your perspective is, what framework you're operating on. That framework is automatically any kind of Muslim person that seeks to uphold their national sovereignty, i.e. Lebanon, or any kind of Muslim person that says, hey man, can you please stop killing us? And asks over and over again for 78 years and then retaliates in kind, is automatically in the wrong. You are the one who is engaging in black and white thinking here. Okay? And I wish that you wouldn't do that. I don't know what's going on with your account. I can't hear you, but I'll watch it later. I'm actually genuinely interested in your defense of Islam. I still low-key think you work for the Turkish CIA. Yes, dude, because I'm a Muslim, right? That's the reason, right? I'm secretly working for the Turkish CIA. I'm a dual agent here with a different interest in, blowing up American public discourse. Dog, come on. Like, there is no world in which this level of fucking bigotry would be tolerated for anyone else, okay? And I don't tolerate it for anyone else. You are masquerading pure, vile bigotry as intellectual thought because you have been hugboxed into believing that your perspective is the normal one. Okay? It's incredibly fucking stupid. And it also demonstrates a clear lack of knowledge. The Turkish CIA is called Milli İstihbarat Teşkilatı, which is MIT. Okay? The Turkish CIA was built by the American CIA. if I was in any way, shape, or form affiliated with a Turkish espionage agency, I would be pro-Israel, as is the State Department's current position. I would also be able to go back to Turkey freely, as I currently cannot. It's really weird how much of the opinions that people have come from just anti-critical thinking, just genuine reactionary bile. You're 2 hours late to what? It's just shocking, like how much you have to put up with on a daily fucking basis if you're, pro-Palestinian. God forbid you're Muslim on top of that. You know what I mean? Oh, I'm just trolling, mate. Fun troll, dude. Can I ask a simple question? Would you rather live in a world dominated by Gaza and Palestinian politics and societal structure, or USA-Israel politics and societal structure? This is a silly question, because the Gaza and Palestinian politics and societal structure is one of emancipation purely. That's it. You do not know what a free Palestine would look like. You have no understanding of what a free Palestine would look like. Your only understanding is a Palestine that has been dominated completely by the United States and Israel. Okay? This is also slight Islamophobia, to just be like, dude, you want these barbaric Arabs to rule over you with their barbaric opinions? Many of these nations that have been dominated by American imperialism, Western imperialism in general, prior to said dominance, actually had thriving societies. An example you can use is one nation that wasn't dominated by American imperialism, or at least found itself to be a servile role. Found itself in a servile role. Turkey. Look at the development in Turkey versus the development in countries like Iran. A lot of countries were not allowed to thrive deliberately. Why did you tell CNN you maybe will vote for Kamala? Genocide not enough for you to hop off the bandwagon? Jank won't let you vote third party. You're reactionary towards leftist third party candidates. I love the charlatans in the chat when I'm getting like the silliest Islamophobic shit, like Islamophobic bile being spewed in my direction as I'm in defense of Palestine, openly communicating what Israel is doing as genocidal. There's still a guy who is like a fucking third-party charlatan being like, well, you're reactionary against third parties. Sorry, Iowan chatter. I'm sorry that I'm not sufficiently in the tank for Jill Stein. Okay? Have fun with that. What I said to CNN pre-DNC was my position at the time, and it's still my position. Okay, that's even better. I'm from Texas. Okay. I love getting told by Texan white guys in the midst of people calling me a fucking Islamist fundamentalist that, like, I'm not sufficiently radical enough during my coverage of fucking, the genocide, the ongoing genocide and occupation of Palestine, as Israel also is opening up a new flank of war in Lebanon. Thank you, Texan guy, for telling me what's what. Thank you for your revolutionary sentiment that you expressed in a Twitch chat. Like a chatter literally just went, oh, why do you want global jihad to be the rule of law as opposed to beautiful Western civilization? And a Texan chatter is like, man, you are not pro Jill Stein, so I'm done with you. Okay. Thank you for educating me. I will reconsider. It does not matter who is demanding emancipation for the Palestinians. It doesn't matter what their domestic affairs look like. Okay? It does not matter. The position holds for Ukraine as well. This is precisely the reason why, since day one, since the unjustifiable occupation of Ukraine occurred, I have said that Ukraine is in the right for demanding emancipation from Russian invasion. Doesn't matter if there were Nazis in the Azov battalion, ultimately they are still in the right for this worthy cause. Okay? No one deserves to be dominated by a larger military power. It is ridiculous. And the same goes for the Palestinian population. Using the conditions of colonial occupation, settler colonial occupation, to imply that these people are barbaric is no different than saying black people are inferior in the United States of America. It is two different sides of the same white supremacist coin. 1350 much? Black people are violent and barbaric. That's why they need to be put down by the police force. Excuse me. They deserve it. This is why there is a direct contradiction among progressives who are progressive except for Palestine. Okay? You are, in terms of your foreign policy understanding, applying the exact same standards that white supremacists here in the United States of America apply to black people and brown people, people that are dominated by white supremacist structures. And I think that direct contradiction is exactly what creates a unique opportunity for radicalization in the right direction, okay? Because of that, so many people that leave the community after October 7 because they're like, this guy is fucking promoting jihadist terrorists, then find themselves inevitably in the throes of a community built by a guy who has written a manifesto for saying the N-word as a white guy. That's why they find themselves changing their entire worldview, because their association with real progressive politics was simply limited. It wasn't real. It wasn't a real moral compass that was guiding their decision making. It was simply a need to want to be a part of a group, an in-group, and feel loved and feel, feel like they are cool. This is why reactionary ideology is very dangerous. Because once you scratch that itch, and once you start plugging holes with bigotry instead of critical thinking, you find yourself doing that in a lot of other areas. It starts off with one issue that you have a genuine, unexamined fear over, a fear that is not born out of like real issues, but instead social conditioning for the most part. It starts off with you thinking maybe the Venezuelan migrant gangs have overtaken an apartment in Aurora, Colorado. And then before you know it, you're like, yeah, maybe trans people are fucking weird actually and gross and are cheating and simply just want to win, I don't know, the high school swim meet. And that's why they're faking being trans. And before you know it, you have adopted so many right-wing positions that you are a shell of what you once were. In a lot of ways, we looked at and laughed at that one charm hole guy, right? The MAGA communist. He just took a separate journey into reactionary thinking. But that, in many respects, is no different than the random person who used to be a member of this community but now thinks I'm promoting Islamic fundamentalism and jihad. It's no different. You just found a different community, and you now also maintain reactionary points of view. Charm hole. I was looking for a more substantial answer than just, oh, war crimes, people died. Governments operate this way all over the world. Israel is not unique in this manner. This is related to the pager attacks, by the way. Yeah, that's just might is right. By the way, atavistico is a fucking awesome name for the argument that you're presenting. Mate Feed Art, thank you for the 100 community gift of subs, by the way. My man, I think that's it's not a name that favors your position, by the way. You are engaging in atavistic sentiment. Might is right. Everybody does war crimes, so who cares? Is not exactly a position that I hold and is a position that I think should manifest in this community. Okay? Slavery comes to mind as an immediate counter to this. Everyone used to practice slavery. Let's just do slavery. Who cares? Might is right after all. Right? My previous comment was more directed towards you. That one was for a chatter. Can you explain why the pager attack should be considered a negative action by the Israeli state? I admittedly know nothing of Hezbollah or what the background of this conflict is outside of some minor research on Israel and Palestine since October 7. Obviously, the pager attacks did lead to civilian casualties, but is this not preferable to carpet bombing and more indiscriminate attacks? Well, you don't even have to make that assessment any longer because Israel also did engage in carpet bombings as of 3 days ago. But let's say we are in a world where that didn't happen and Israel simply did the act of terror. I would urge you to try to understand, or at least do a little bit of reading from the United Nations Office of Human Rights report, or any number of different prosecutors that have prosecuted war crimes both successfully and are knowledgeable on the matter as to why they consider the pager attacks to be an act of terror. Even Leon Panetta, the former CIA director. Leon Panetta is not exactly an ally of mine in the way that he views the world, but even Leon Panetta, the chief terrorist, as the former director of the CIA, knows a terror attack when he sees one, right? Infiltrating the logistics chain, infiltrating the logistics supply chain of a device that is more often than not utilized by a civilian population, that is in use inside of emergency rooms, inside of hospitals, okay? And booby trapping it is multiple different war crimes, okay? Attacking enemy combatants that are not in combat would also be a war crime. Attacking enemy combatants that are not in combat, that are living inside civilian populations, also a war crime. Booby trapping a civilian communications device is also a war crime. It's a litany of different war crimes added on to one another with the intent and purpose of directly creating psychological harm upon a civilian population. That is terror. Terrorism is technically a socio-political designation that we apply to non-state actors in an effort to deny them their habeas corpus, right? Their human rights laws, or their right to due process, for example. But there is something behind the designation of terrorism. And if you are looking for the dictionary designation of terrorism, what Israel did is a textbook definition of that reality. Saying that, and this line of thinking also ultimately opens you up to even further and further reactionary sentiment. For example, I'll give you another example of this, okay? To say, well, Israel's terror attacks are more targeted than carpet bombing Lebanon. Yes, they were more targeted. Far less civilian casualties occurred. Not casualties, because 3,000 civilian casualties is more than the carpet bombing that Israel engaged in, but far less civilian deaths occurred in this supposedly targeted terror strike than what Israel did do, right? Which is carpet bomb Lebanon, killing 500 plus. Now, this exact same principle could be applied to even carpet bombing Lebanon, because you could turn around and say, well, don't you think that carpet bombing Lebanon is far more targeted than nuking Lebanon? Israel has nukes. They could technically use them on Lebanon. Don't you think that carpet bombing Lebanon is far more humane than just all-out nuking Lebanon? Do you understand what's wrong with this argument? When you open yourself up to justify Israeli atrocities against the sovereign state and its civilian population, okay, and then use a far worse weapon that they could potentially use in this conflict as a way to justify this act of terror, you open up the door to many far greater acts of terror. As a matter of fact, Israel already has done the far greater acts of terror since, the terrorism that occurred in terms of the pager bombings. I hope that this was sufficient, clear, and coherent, concise. I hope you understand my position now. Atavistico.
Fire in Lebanon, that it can move into dealing with the West Bank. But we also have Gaza to deal with.
Yes.
And so, but it's possible, and I'm using every bit of energy I have with my team, and you know from the Defense Department, you know it well, to get this done. There's a desire to
Now to an NBC.
see change, in the region.
And peace.
And well, peace is exactly right. But, one of the things is that, I'll end this by saying, there's certain inflection points in history where what happens in the very near term sets the course for the world for the next 6 or 7 decades.
Oh, God.
We're one of those places. We have a chance to really, for example, we put NATO together. You know it well. Added
We did
2
NATO.
countries to NATO. Stop Putin. Now, Trump says if he gets a
Damn, this guy, dude, I can't wait to write this guy in. okay, come November. He is the bold, charismatic leadership that we need right now, okay? He's the guy. He's my guy.
Elected, he wants to get the hell out of NATO. I've been able to put together what they call the Quad in the South Pacific, in that area, to increase. We have a chance to reorder the world in a way that is not Shangri-La, but it is real. Fundamental changes to reflect the changes that are taking place now. And look what's happening with just what we're doing with climate. And so there's so many things that are so many opportunities. And I know, I had that craniotomy because I had an aneurysm years ago. And the doctor was trying to explain to me whether it was they're generic or congenital. And I said, I don't care. We'll just take care of it. We're okay. He looked at me and said, you know what your problem is, Senator? I said, no. I said, you're a congenital optimist. Well, I am, because there's nothing America's ever worked on.
I want to
that
ask
we
you.
haven't gotten done.
That's true.
Nothing.
So in January, you're leaving Washington after 50 years of public service. How? You've been the best. How do you want the Biden administration remembered, and how do you want Joe Biden, the man, remembered?
When I got elected when I was 29 years old, you have to be 30 to be sworn in. Everybody thought there must be some secret in Delaware. Did I have some secret? I said, yeah. Have you figured out what's worth losing over? Yeah. Have you figured out what's worth losing over? Because if you haven't figured that out, you should be in another business. There's so many things that are worth losing over if you got to keep trying. And what I want to be remembered for is being honest in what I've done, straight up. And I think I used to drive Barack crazy. Every morning we'd meet at 9 o'clock for 8 years, and then we'd end the day together. And all the sayings, and I'd say to him, Barack, remember, all politics is personal, including international. We build relationships.
That finger point is so funny, dude. Look at this.
Including international.
He thinks he's so dope. I mean, people fucking glaze him too, so. Thanks for answering. I just don't see much of a positive action by leaders on any side of the conflict to create a reasonable solution for Palestinians or Israelis. I was more concerned if you found Hezbollah worth defending, or if you were just coming down hard on the Israeli government for more escalating actions in this conflict. I do not care about the domestic affairs of Hezbollah, nor do I care about their Islamist positions on certain issues. I do believe that Hezbollah is, just like Hamas, a resistance group that was created out of the real need of purging Israel from the borders of Lebanon. This is how Hezbollah was created, and over time, it has formed into a cohesive, coherent political movement with its own political party that occupies space in the Lebanese parliament. This is precisely the reason why, despite the international terrorist designation for Hezbollah, they also have civil governance affairs in a way that is not dissimilar to Hamas, okay? No, that is not how they are made. Yes, no, sorry. I should have said Hezbollah was created out of unrelenting Jew hatred. Okay? You're right. Hezbollah was created out of a need not against combating Western imperialism, but instead hating Jewish people. You answered my message a few days ago on this. If Hezbollah is a terrorist group, then so are the ANC, Black Panthers, IRA, and Viet Cong. Yes, they are, by the way. They were and they still are considered terror groups by many. So it does not matter. Terrorism is simply a socio-political designation that the Western powers utilize and deploy against those who go against the hierarchy that Western powers are seeking to enforce. Hezbollah aren't good actions in Syria, their own domestic policy, but they're the only ones who could do anything about Israel because the Lebanese armed forces don't have the arms to fight Israel. Westerners don't want to think about why Hezbollah is the biggest party in Lebanon. I mean, I wouldn't say they're the biggest party. There's definitely a lot of haters in the Lebanese parliament against Hezbollah as well. But ultimately, it does not matter. look at the reasoning for why they exist and look at their actions, okay, in terms of resisting Israeli occupation, in terms of being yet another vector of pressure placed upon the Israeli government that shows time and time again, has shown the world and anyone with eyes to see that they will not be fucking, they will never be, they will never stand down, okay? They will just not stand down unless they are forced to stand down. I looked it up on ChatGPT, and apparently these Hezbollah guys were founded in 1982. Did anything else happen that year? Yeah. What happened?
You build relationships. It matters to build trust. It matters, it matters, it matters. And I just think the environment is such that we can get so much done, but we have to focus.
Nazis postured as though they were combating Judeo-Bolshevist terrorism. Yeah, I mean, that's why we we aligned with the Nazis post-World War II and never really stopped our allegiance, and also basically did a lot of Nazi shit all around the globe, sometimes directly working with neo-Nazis. And right now, the modern iteration of that exact same ultra-nationalist movement, that ultra-nationalist fascist movement, can be seen in Israel. And we are defending it wholeheartedly.
We have to believe in ourselves again. And that's what I like most about Kamala. She believes in America. She believes in our capacity.
Immediate Israeli withdrawal from Lebanon, 1982.
And I don't know, I just, in terms of, I'm less concerned about what my legacy is, but although I'm leaving, you're stuck with me. I'm not going away. Because there's so many other things that I want to do in terms of the Biden Institute to depend on foreign policy, the Biden Institute in Delaware on domestic policy, to keep the things going that we started. And I think we can get them done.
Okay. I have to tell you, our thanks to you for coming and sitting with us.
Oh, come on.
You have been extraordinary for the country, and we are so proud to have had you at this table more than once, but to have you here at this table as the President of the United States.
Ay, ay, ay.
After 50
Okay, I'm skipping the rest of this shit. It's an older vid from last year.
I keep seeing people calling the situation in Israel-Palestine complex, and it's actually not that complex. The only complex thing about it is that it would inevitably end in an ethnic genocide that would directly benefit the interests of the United States in the Middle East. So instead of openly supporting genocide, a lot of American politicians are calling it complex instead to confuse you. But don't be confused, because think about it. Israel has a membership status in the United Nations. They have international diplomatic authority and the 10th most powerful army in the world, whereas Palestine is internationally defined by several powerful organizations as a terrorist group. So it's illegal for them to have an army. It's illegal to provide them with armaments, and all the weapons that they do have were smuggled into the country.
Not only that, but also it's virtually illegal to do trade, like unrestricted trade with Palestine and Palestinians. Like there is no humanitarian aid that approaches Palestine that does not get controlled by Israel. Israel controls any matter of aid that goes into Gaza.
The country illegally. They don't have an army. And so they're calling it a war on terrorism. Okay, but did you know, fun fact, that there's no functioning definition internationally for terrorism? That definition does not exist. So that basically makes it legal for Israel to go in, shoot whoever they want, not just armed militants, and then define those dead people as terrorists later. It's not a war. A war requires two armies. It's not that complex.
Yeah,